Long time no video, but we're finally back, and I'm actually in the opposite corner of my office today because I wanted to share the pin sets that I collected in 2022, or shall I say just singular pin set, which is on the corkboard that's right behind me. So this here is actually a brand new corkboard addition to my walls, and this now has all of the monthly Disney Parks limited edition pin sets that I've collected over the past years. And this one on the bottom row here is the one that I spent all of 2022 collecting, which was the Disneyland Resort Poster pins. In prior years, I collected all the Crests of the Kingdom pins, all of the Cuckoo Clock pins, and then all of the Windows of Main Street pins, which all are pins that are related to the Disney parks and Disney attractions. So I kind of follow along in that pattern with the pins that I decided to collect from 2022, which are specifically the Disney parks and attractions related ones. So I wanted to share all of the pins that were from this pin set, which goes from January all the way through December, as a little bit of a 2022 collection retrospective. And then after that, I wanted to talk about some of the new pins that are coming out in 2023. Out of all of the Disney Parks monthly pin sets, I would say that this Disneyland poster pin set ended up being the most popular. Normally for these monthly limited edition pin releases in the parks, you can get people to do pin pickups for not too much above retail price, but there were quite a number of these pins, especially towards the earlier half of the year, that sold out the day that they were released and immediately were reselling for very, very high amounts. So this ended up being one of the much more difficult pin sets to complete, since obviously I was not at the parks for any of these releases, can't get them in person, and it's kind of a snowball effect where as hype builds up, people are going to buy them up more quickly, they're going to sell out more quickly, and then therefore on the resale market they're going to end up being more expensive. But I think there's one particular pin that was kind of like midway through the year that came out that really decreased the popularity a bit, helped make the prices a little bit more reasonable, although this is definitely a much more expensive set to collect than any of the other monthly pin sets I've collected. So here is a closer look at all of the Disneyland Resort attraction poster pins from January to December. And obviously this was a Disneyland exclusive pin set since it specifically is called Disneyland Posters, although a number of the attractions are shared between both coasts, and this pin set was a limited edition of 2,000. So starting off in January, that pin was for Fantasyland, which features the castle, and I'd say this is definitely my favorite pin of the entire set, and I think what motivated a lot of people to collect this set. I am very happy that I got this right when it released, because for pretty much the entire time since, and even currently, if you want to get it on eBay, it's going to cost you over $100. So that's a pretty hefty price for just one pin from a monthly pin set. But you can see that these here are pin on pins. So they have some really cool dimension to them, and overall like a poster frame design because they're supposed to be attraction posters. Then February's pin was for Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, and you can see I have a bit of an error pin here because that center of the R has white enamel instead of the background color, but that's okay. I do though wish this pin had somehow incorporated some of the birds in there a little bit more prominently, but still I think it's a pretty nice design. And then March we came out with the Haunted Mansion. So this was definitely kind of continuing the popularity of this set since Haunted Mansion is very popular. We've got stylized versions of the 3 hitchhiking ghosts. For April we had Space Mountain. And I think this design is quite simple but effective. Then May was Mad Tea Party. So this one features the Mad Hatter, and then in the background there you can see some of the actual teacups. But I do really like the pretty pink color of the background. And June was the Matterhorn bobsleds. Matterhorn was officially down for refurbishment when we were at the parks in October, so it's been a while since I've ridden it. It does shake you up, but it is a classic. I also like the kind of simple silhouette of this pin. And so up until this point, I had been loving this set, and I think everybody else had. And then came the July pin, which was Pinocchio's Daring Journey. And I contest that Pinocchio's Daring Journey is the scariest ride in all of Disneyland. So it was a very interesting choice, first of all, to just choose this ride for a pin. Second of all, to kind of feature the artwork and characters that they did, rather than say Pinocchio or Jiminy Cricket or Geppetto or anything like that. So again, this is where lovely artwork, good attractions. And then this is what kind of killed a little bit of the super, super high resale momentum, just because people weren't as in love with this. And it's a little bit harsher colors than are on the other pins. So this would have chosen almost any other attraction. And when we get to the end of this list, you'll see what's not featured, such as there's none for Small World or Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, both that I think would have looked really good on pins like this. Then we move on to the August release, which was for Peter Pan's Flight. And I do think that is such an iconic, popular ride that, sure, it deserves an attraction pin. And again, kind of nice we have, Peter Pan on it. Peter Pan's Flight. Pinocchio's Daring Journey. No Pinocchio. And then September's release was Pirates of the Caribbean. I really like the artwork on this pin. Pirates is one of my favorite rides at Disneyland. No Disneyland trip feels like it's really started until I ride Pirates of the Caribbean. So I did like that design. And then October was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Again, I think another worthy one, especially since that is such a Disneyland staple. I do think that they could have done something a little bit more interesting with the design, since this is just kind of the brick facade in the background, but it kind of matches the disappointing Mr. Toad from last year's Windows of Main Street, where all of the other one are these beautiful windows, and then the Mr. Toad is like shut behind these hinges, but still, shouldn't complain too much. Overall, like it. And then the penultimate one in November was for the Storybook Land Canal Boats. I'm really happy that they came out with this, because this is another such quintessential, unique to Disneyland. I really like all the artwork, the kind of like little village castle touches on there. And then for December, they ended this series with Jungle Cruise. I think they could have done maybe something design-wise a little bit cooler for Jungle Cruise. I think the overall frame of this is quite plain, but I think a worthy attraction to feature. And so that is all of the 2022 Disneyland Resort poster pins from the monthly releases. And then this is my pin board in full with, again, Crests of the Kingdom, the Cuckoo for Disney pins, Cuckoo Clocks, and then the Windows of Main Street. So this pin board kind of works perfectly to have all 12 pins spaced out in one row. And although the second half of this pin set wasn't quite as strong as the first, I don't think anything can beat the Fantasyland one. I'm still really happy I collected this, and I love having all of these attractions and parks-specific pins. And those were all of the monthly limited edition Disneyland Resort poster pins from 2022. So in terms of looking forward to 2023, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be adding anything to this board for 2023. Out of the pin sets that have been previewed, there doesn't seem like anything that I'm really interested in and that I want to collect every month. So this was a preview graphic. I assume they showed this at the Epcot pin event in the fall of the new pin sets that were coming in 2023. So these sets are a Disney Best Buds, which is just at Disneyland. A quarterly set of Disney Afternoon pins that look like it's going to be shared between both coasts. This Disney Turnover Time, and why can't I think of the word that these are actually called? But that set is going to be shared between both coasts. There's Disney Dancing Characters that's also shared between both coasts. None of those so far really interest me at all. Then the one that actually is interesting is Disney Food D, since obviously I collect all the sweets and snacks pins, but this pin set comes out at Hong Kong Disneyland and Disney Store Japan. So that's definitely going to make it a little bit more difficult to collect, but these do not appear to be coming out at any of the US parks. The Disney Magical Medallion set looks like it is an exclusive to Shop Disney UK. Then we have Disney Arcade, which is a shared coast release. This seems super similar to the pinball set that came out last year. Then we have Disney Metal Magic, which is going to be at Disneyland. And then Disney Darlings, which looks kind of like these chibi-style princesses, is going to be an exclusive at Walt Disney World. So all of these seem very like character and movie focused, and as I've learned over time, I really only like to collect the monthly pin sets that are specific to the parks and feature the attractions. That's just much more of what I'm into. So for this coming year, there's definitely nothing that I plan on collecting the whole set of at all. Obviously, if there is one that's like themed to Zootopia or Emperor's New Groove, I'll definitely get that. But none of these releases are really exciting to me at all. I think in addition to what's shown here, they're going to do some Marvel sets, and I don't care about Marvel at all. So that means that this bottom of the pin board will remain open for other sets in the future. But the other exciting pins that are now here for 2023 are at long last a new set of hidden Disney pins. It has been so long since the first series of hidden Disney pins came out. This is the replacement to hidden Mickey pins, meaning that they have sets that are featured to other Disney properties like Pixar, Star Wars, and Marvel. This is now the series 2 of these hidden Disney pins. People first started to find these in Walt Disney World, I think around mid-December. I haven't heard any words around Disneyland, so I don't know if people have been finding them there yet. But unlike prior years, where there were specific sets for different coasts and then a shared set, these are going to be the same hidden Disney pins at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland, which is kind of a bummer because that means that there are a lot less sets that they're coming out with. And there's also not really any of these sets that I'm super interested in collecting. So we have the character planes. Those to me just look weird. They remind me of kind of like the object pins that would come in like the little magical mystery pin sets. So those design-wise are pretty meh to me. We have a Star Wars Heroes set and then a Marvel Avengers set. Neither properties I'm really interested in. I do though really like the Pixar Toy Story set. I really like that it is our original Toy Story, all those characters. Following that we have Rabbit Eggs. They do have a Judy Hopps one, but I already have multiple Judy Hopps pins that look like this. Those have been releases from either Shanghai or Hong Kong. And then we have a Fantasia set, which I also think is pretty cool because that's a little bit more of the classic old school Disney. I'm not really in love with any of the artwork designs from this set, so not something I would look to collect. But it's good news that there finally are going to be some new hidden Disney pins coming out because the state of the pin boards in the parks has gotten really, really bleak. On my October trip to Disneyland, I honestly didn't even bother pin trading at all because it was 100% junk on every single board that I saw. So these will at least hopefully start to freshen up things. I have not been seeing many posts about people getting these, but I'm sure as the year goes on, they'll be a bit more widespread, and I'm assuming they're going to come out in little blind bags like they did with the Series 1. So that's at least some good news for 2023, that hidden Disney pins are back. So that was my look back on the pin set that I collected in 2022 and a little look forward on the Disney pins that are coming out in 2023. Even though I'm not personally interested in any of the monthly pin sets that are coming out, I'd still definitely love to hear what everybody else is interested in and planning to collect. This is the advice that I always give. If you're ever on the fence about collecting one of these pin sets, always just get the first month that is going to be released, because if it ends up being a popular set, that first pin is always going to be the hardest and the most expensive to find, as evidenced by this Fantasyland pin, which is going to cost you over $100 if you do want to get it and complete your set. So if you waver about what you're going to collect, just get at least the first month's pin, and if you decide you don't want to collect that set, it should be pretty easy for you to trade or sell that pin. And if you do end up wanting to collect that set, you'll be happy you got that first pin when you did. So here's to happy pinning in 2023 and more videos whenever I can pop them up. But thanks for watching.